Hey guys, in today's video, I'm going to review the 2025 Babolat Pure Drive 98, and I'm going to compare it to the 2025 Babolat Pure Drive, the regular 27-inch version. So let's compare these rackets. Both are 27 inches in length. Babolat Pure Drive does have a version that's extended as well at 27.5 inches. These two rackets have a different head size, of course, it's in the name. So the 98 has a 98 square inch racket head, while the regular Pure Drive has a 100 square inch racket head size. The static weight is also different. The regular version comes in at 300 grams unstrung, while the 98 comes in at 305 grams unstrung. There are more differences. The regular version has a string pattern of 16 by 19, while the 98 has a string pattern of 16 by 20. There's a slight difference in the unstrung balance as well, with the regular Pure Drive being a tad more headlight, coming in at 7 points headlight, while the 98 comes in at 6 points headlight, and this is the unstrung balance. So what Babolat masterfully has done with the 98 is that they have developed a controlled version of the Babolat Pure Drive, which is one of the most popular rackets of all time, but it's also one of the most powerful rackets of all time. For me, this is the best serve racket in the history of tennis. And of course, when you make a controlled version of this racket, you don't want to make it too controlled. So the way they have designed this racket is genius, because they have reduced the thickness of the beam on the 98. So the 98 has a thinner beam compared to the regular Pure Drive. So naturally, with a thinner beam, there's going to be less responsiveness, or in other words, less power. So to counteract that, they have made the 98 slightly more head heavy, and they have also opened up the string pattern to counteract some of the control attributes of having a smaller racket head size and also having a thinner beam. So while the 98 does have more control than the regular Pure Drive, it is still a Pure Drive at heart. This racket feels like a Pure Drive, but you for sure are feeling more control when you hit the ball. The thinner beam is the big difference maker between the 98 and the regular version, but I would for sure categorize this as a power racket. So for players that find the Pure Drive too powerful, this might be the perfect solution, because you do get a lot of response from this racket. The ball comes off the racket quite quick. It's always important for me to test the backhand, because some rackets feel way worse on the backhand compared to the forehand, and I gotta tell you, the 98 feels phenomenal on the two-handed backhand. Generally, the Pure Drives are good rackets for the two-handed backhand. Now, how about a one-hander? What I find is that one-handed backhands benefit from a lighter racket head at the recreational level. It's easier to bring the racket head up when you're executing it with one hand on the backhand side. And I gotta tell you, this racket feels very good on the one-hander. Now let's try some finesse shots, and I'm going to include the backhand slice in the finesse category. And we have to talk about the stiffness of these rackets when we're talking about finesse, because generally a racket that's more flexible is going to be better for feel. Now, the Babolat Pure Drive rackets are stiff. Both of these come in with a stiffness rating of 69. So both are stiff, which helps with power and responsiveness, but it's not so great for feel. But I can tell you from personal experience, as a long-time Pure Drive user, you do learn the ability to have more feel with a stiffer racket. So it's not impossible to have feel with a stiffer racket. Perfect example, Carlos Alcaraz. Tremendous amount of feel, and he plays with a racket that's quite stiff. So doesn't mean that if the racket is stiff that you can't play feel shots. You absolutely can. So for me personally, I find Babolat Pure Drive rackets quite comfortable in the feel category, including the backhand slice. Now, how about the 98? I do think that the 98 feels pretty good when I'm trying these shots. I'm a little bit more used to a responsive feel when I'm doing drop shots, for example. I do feel that I have to do a little bit more work with this racket because it's a tad less responsive, and that's leading to some of these drop shots going too far. So I have to increase my swing radius on the dropper. I'm therefore not hitting the droppers as good. So for me personally, I find the feel better on the regular Pure Drive, but we're going to test that in a second. All right, now it's time to try the regular Pure Drive, and right off the bat, I'm feeling more responsiveness. Now, that might be a good thing or a bad thing, because more responsiveness, more power can lead to the ball spraying. So for sure, I'm feeling less control with this racket compared to the 98. So while responsiveness and not having to do that much with the racket is usually something that I look for in recent times, I am looking for more control on my forehand, like you see there. The ball sprayed a little bit, it sprayed again on that one. So I gotta tell you that the 98 for sure feels better on my forehand compared to the regular Pure Drive. No doubt about it. I'm in a unique situation regarding my two-handed backhand because it used to be my best shot, but now it's my weakness because since I started teaching full time, I stopped practicing. My two-handed backhand has gotten a lot weaker. So when it comes to my two-hander, I need the racket to help me out a lot. So I am looking for power and responsiveness. And I gotta tell you, the regular Pure Drive does feel a lot better on my two-hander compared to the 98. Now, how about field shots? Just because I'm more used to hitting field shots with the thicker beam and a responsive racket, my slice feels better with the regular Pure Drive. And let's check the drop shot. Yeah, the drop shot feels better as well with the regular Pure Drive because I don't have to take as much of a swing. So my feel is actually better with the regular Pure Drive compared to the 98. Last but not least, the serve. Like I said in the intro, the Babolat Pure Drive is the best serve racket of all time, and I have a lot of experience using the Pure Drive, and there's no other racket that comes close. Now, interestingly, the 27-inch version compared to the Babolat Pure Drive Plus that I've been using for many years is very similar on the serve. It's almost the same power. I will say that the Plus version gives you a little bit more pop on the flat serve. However, when it comes to the slice and the kick serve, the regular 27-inch version gives you a little bit more power compared to the Plus version because of the increased maneuverability. So again, no other racket gives me this feeling on the serve, which is a feeling of effortlessness on the serve, and that's exactly what I'm looking for. I'm getting more pop than with any other racket, and the fact that this racket is a little bit shorter than my old Babolat Pure Drive Plus doesn't really make that much of a difference. So here's the big question. Will the 98 Pure Drive take away from some of that effortlessness? Let's see. So I do feel a difference. Let me hit a couple more. I will be able to tell you for sure. Let's do one more. I'm gonna try to hit this one a little bit harder. So for sure I'm feeling a little bit of a decrease in power on the 98. There's absolutely no doubt about that. Now, I will say that I'm very sensitive on the serve, but nevertheless, I am feeling a difference. And for sure, the 98 gives me a little bit less power compared to the regular version. Now, to put things in perspective, like I said, the 98 Pure Drive is still a power racket. There's no doubt about it. I would not call this a control racket by any means. So, despite me feeling a little bit less power, I'm still feeling quite a bit of pop on the serve. Let's check the slice and the kick. So here comes the slice. I didn't really grip that ball that well. Let me try another slice. Okay, that one was a little bit better actually. I'm going to try one more. This is going to be a kick. Okay, so the verdict is both of these rackets are power rackets. But the 98 version of the Babolat Pure Drive is a more controlled version. And it's going to be perfect for those players who find too much power on the regular Pure Drive. Maybe your strokes are spraying a little bit. That's certainly the case on my forehand. The forehand feels a lot better with the 98 compared to the regular version. So if you're one of those players, this might be the perfect power racket for you because after all, it does have a lot of control elements that are going to help you to keep the ball in play. On the contrary, if you're looking for the ultimate power racket, that of course provides a lot of control. I'm not saying that this racket is uncontrollable by any means. Again, this is one of the greatest rackets in the history of tennis rackets. So it doesn't mean that you're going to play uncontrollable tennis with the Pure Drive. So if you're one of those players that loves the responsiveness, that loves the power, and manages to control the ball, the Babolat Pure Drive remains the optimal choice for many players across the globe, including a wide variety of players. That's what makes this racket so great. It is good for the entry recreational level because Babolat makes different versions of the Pure Drive. Make lighter versions as well if that's something that you need. And again, this racket is going to be a great racket all the way from the rec level to the absolute elite level. And fact remains, it is one of the best rackets that's ever been designed.